Hey everyone, it's Amy from thecrazycraftlady.com. Okay, Christmas is officially over. We are now in what I call the post-Christmas decorating slump. That is winter, it's really dark, days are short, and it's kind of depressing. What I like to do is I've tried to, in the past couple of years, started to minimize the amount of Christmas decorating I do and focus more on generic winter decor, stuff that I can put up in late November and keep up all the way through February when there's a light at the end of the tunnel that the snow might melt and we only have like one more big snowstorm in March before Minnesota winter is done. Hopefully not April, just March. I digress. So today we're going to make a real quick window frame, winter window frame that lights up so that during the short days of winter and the long nights you have something that you can light up and like set up on a shelf or hang on a wall. I'm going to kind of show you, I made it one way, but I'm going to show you how to do it two different ways so that you can either prop it up on a ledge or hang it up on a gallery wall. So without further ado, let's get making. Okay, so I started with 4 little canvases. I got these at the Dollar Tree. I know they're not the easiest thing to find at the dollar store. So if you can't find them there, just go to like your craft store, and a lot of times you can get a multi-pack of canvases, especially like when they're on sale, or use your 20 or 30 or 40% off coupon or whatever. So just cut away all the plastic, and then you want to rip off all of the canvas from each of those wooden frames because you want to be able to just use the wooden frame itself. For this, I used a pen blade, but you could use a razor blade, whatever you have. I just really like these pen blades and I use them in a lot of my crafts, and I just keep it on my craft table at all times. So you just want to slice away at the canvas around each of the staples and then carefully rip that canvas away. In theory, you should remove all the staples as well if you want the back of your project to look nice. And normally I'm one of those people who like, I'll paint the back of a project so just so the front and the back look nice. But with this, like I can't bring myself to do it. I do have a staple remover, but even that doesn't work. Like you have to get like a flathead screwdriver and it's a lot of elbow grease. And I'd be afraid that I would break the wooden frame because it's so small and so thin. So anyway, if you want to remove the staples, that's up to you. I chose not to because I spent enough time as it was removing the canvas from all 4 of these frames. Okay, so once I had all 4 of the canvases removed from my frames, I then had to trim each canvas piece down to size. The way I did this is I just traced the wooden frame part onto the canvas fabric with a pen, and then I cut inside the line. So you want to cut, make sure like plenty of space inside that pen line. You want to make sure that when you replace the canvas on the back side of the frame, there's no overhang on the outer edge of the frame. If there is, and you can like lay the wooden frame down on top of the canvas to like check it, if there's any extra overhang, just trim it away. Okay, so then I had my 4 frames and my 4 pieces of canvas fabric cut down to size. And then I grabbed my Waverly Antique Wax stain. It's from Walmart. This is what I use when I'm working on projects inside in the wintertime and I don't want to deal with wood stain and having to go outside when it's 10 degrees out. So I just brushed back and forth this antique wax onto all 4 of the frames on all the edges. It gets a little messy, but just make sure you cover all the surfaces as evenly as possible and then set it aside to dry, and then you can wipe away any excess with a paper towel if you're in a hurry. So I'll speed this up for you. It takes a little bit of time. If you don't want to do a wood stain look, you could also do paint of any sort. I think, you know, any sort of chalk paint would be great on this, or you could just leave the unfinished wood as is. Okay, then I took this picture and I edited it a little bit and I blew it up and I split it onto 2 pages so I could print it on like a regular printer and not have to print like a poster. I will link to a PDF file of this image in the description below so you guys can print this off if you want for yourself. So then what I did is I did a little bit of math, and for those of you that watched my oversized Dollar Tree ornament video, you will know that math is not my strong suit. Thank you for those of you who pointed out the difference between circumference and diameter of a circle. Now I know. But I measured my image and I measured my frames so that I could trim each image into 4 rectangles that I could then put into each frame. So I just took my time with my ruler and I like drew out a line and then I cut everything away after I think I had measured properly. Once all the paper was cut, it was time to apply each paper to a piece of canvas fabric. What I did for this is I just used Mod Podge, which is, I think, maybe a risky call considering the fact that the canvas fabric was loose, but it worked for me and I'll explain to you specifically why. What you want to do is you want to apply a coat of the Mod Podge onto the canvas fabric. Use any old paintbrush, but just make sure that you have even coverage. And I would say, like, you don't want the coat to be too thin, but not too thick. So I guess medium, that's all that's left. If it's not too thin, I feel like Goldilocks. Too thin, too thick, just right. Okay, so apply the Mod Podge and then smooth the picture onto the canvas. And this is where it was risky because you run the risk of it getting bubbly or wrinkly. So what I ended up using is this smoothing tool. I think it's for applying wallpaper. I don't know why I have it, but it works great. You could also use a credit card, but you want like a really smooth surface. Using the edge of your fingernail will not cut it. You want like a credit card or a squeegee or something of that nature so that you can then like scrape the image down, and some of the excess Mod Podge will like come out on the edges, and that's fine. Just wipe it away with a paper towel. But really squeegee and smooth this out. And by doing this, you're also gonna let the paper kind of take on some of the texture of the canvas underneath it. Like you're really gonna press it down hard. And then set it aside and put like a book or a heavy object on top of it for, I don't know, 30 minutes, just until the Mod Podge starts to dry. But then you can repeat this process on the other 3 pieces of canvas. Once I had let the Mod Podge dry for maybe 30 minutes, 40 minutes tops, then I came in with hot glue gun and I hot glued each piece of canvas, photo canvas, back into the picture frame. So onto the side that has all the staples. Like I said, if you have more energy than I do, feel free to remove the staples, but I took a shortcut just this once on this craft. And you do need a fair amount of hot glue. I would say definitely in each of the 4 corners, and for sure a good portion in the center of each side of the frame. You want to make sure that you have good bonding between the canvas and the wooden frame. And here you can see I trimmed that piece of canvas down just a little bit, otherwise it would have stuck out at the bottom of my frame, which I would not have wanted. All right, then it was time to assemble the 4 frames together so it looks like a little window pane. And this, okay, you guys don't do this exactly like I did it. I would say you're safe gluing the 2, like the left and the right sides together, hot gluing them together. But then when it's time to assemble the top and the bottom, you really need something more sturdy. Now, if you want to hang this up on a wall, you need to pause this video and not continue to follow my tutorial. I would say hot glue the top and the bottom together like I'm doing here, and then I would carefully flip this whole thing over and add like a piece of foam board or cardstock so you can see it's not super stable. I would add a piece of foam board or cardstock or something to the back so you can have it all be secured, and then you can just like hang it on a wall using a hanger. Or my secret is I use a pop tab. Just grab like from a can of bubbly or beer or soda or whatever, just take that pop tab off and you can hot glue it to the back of your frame, and you can use that as a wall hanger with a nail. But if you want this to light up, you can't really hang it on a wall because you're going to install these lights to the back, and so there's going to be all sorts of stuff going on the back of this. So it means this frame is going to lean up against a wall. So I decided to add my lights and then figure out a way to stabilize the back of my picture frame later. And this was really a pretty simple process, and I just kind of eyeballed it. I was like, okay, I have 10 lights on this string. Oh, the string came from Dollar Tree, but you can get little mini LED lights just about anywhere. And I just kind of like planned out, okay, I kind of want to do, 6 on the bottom, 4 on the top, kind of space them out randomly. And then I came back in with my handy dandy pen blade, and I very carefully, you guys, do not cut your fingers. I'm quite frankly, with my level of klutziness with crafting, kind of shocked that I didn't cut myself. But very carefully poke a hole into the canvas with the pen blade, and then kind of stick the light through the canvas so it pokes out on the front side. So what I did to secure the back was I used popsicle sticks, hot glued. So I just secured the left and the right pieces together first, and then I finished adding the lights, and then I secured the top and the bottom together. But that was just kind of the only thing I could think of when I looked around my craft room. What can I use to stabilize the back of this picture frame, since I can't put a piece of foam board on the back because all these lights are here? And then I just tentatively secured each light in place with a little bit of duct tape. It wasn't the best hold. Duct tape does not stick very well to canvas fabric, so I'll show you in a bit how I fixed that. But here I'm going to speed up the process. I'm going to show you how I just very carefully, like you score a little X into the canvas with the pen blade and then poke the light on through. Here's where we were at once I had all of my little lights in the proper place that I wanted them. What I ended up doing is just adding a little bit of hot glue around the light and then placing the tape back in place just so that the tape would hold better. You really need to tape or glue or secure these lights into place. One, you want them pointing at the right angle when they stick through the canvas, and two, otherwise I think they would eventually fall out and you would have a major craft fail. So just hot glue everything in place with your hot glue and your duct tape and you should be good. And then, okay, I'm not gonna lie, the wheels kind of fell off the wagon here, but I just ended up securing the top and the bottom and the left and the right as best I could with popsicle sticks. I think your best bet, see, I tried to do something there in the middle with the popsicle sticks, which I wouldn't recommend. What I would recommend, and you're gonna have better luck securing, is sticking to the left and the right side of the frame. So you'll see here, I'll show you a picture. Here's a close-up of what this ended up looking like. I have 3 popsicle sticks on the left and 3 popsicle sticks on the right. And that is really what secured the top to the bottom so that my window frame doesn't flop in half when I rest it up against the wall. There you have it, you guys. A cute little winter window that I can light up. I can set it up on a shelf, and I think it's just a sweet little addition to my winter decor. And like I said, you could save this for next year, put it up even at like Christmas time, and then you can enjoy it for 3 months until there's a light at the end of the tunnel when springtime is hopefully approaching. I hope you enjoyed this craft tutorial. Until next time, happy making.